New information has emerged about the American service members who lost their lives during the latest fighting in the Middle East. According to U.S. Central Command, at least 17 American troops have now been killed since the conflict intensified over the weekend. One service member died in northern Iraq while attempting to safely dispose of a downed Iranian attack drone. At the same time, recovery teams in Jordan located additional human remains as they continue searching for another missing American, following a deadly Iranian missile and drone strike. Just moments ago, the Pentagon officially identified 2 of the soldiers killed in that attack. First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan, 25, from Hawaii, and Private Isabel Gonzalez, 19, from Texas. President Donald Trump addressed the growing number of casualties, expressing sympathy for the families while defending the ongoing military campaign. He said the men and women serving overseas were fighting to ensure that Iran never develops a nuclear weapon. The president also argued that Iran's military capability has been severely weakened after months of sustained operations. These latest casualties mark one of the deadliest periods since the conflict began nearly 4 months ago. The rising death toll is increasing pressure on the White House, while also raising new questions about America's next move in the region. Military officials caution that the number of fatalities could still rise as investigators continue examining the attack site in Jordan. According to Central Command, 2 service members were killed during a coordinated Iranian missile and drone assault. Separately, another American lost his life in northern Iraq during a controlled operation involving unexploded enemy equipment. Together, these incidents highlight an important reality. Despite months of military pressure, Iran continues to demonstrate the ability to launch both missile and drone attacks across the region. The latest exchanges also suggest that some Iranian weapons are still capable of challenging existing U.S. air defense systems. Meanwhile, the conflict continues to escalate. Both sides are now striking increasingly sensitive targets, including critical infrastructure and military facilities. U.S. forces have carried out another consecutive night of operations against Iranian positions, while additional American military assets are being deployed to the Middle East. Reinforcements include advanced fighter aircraft, aerial refueling tankers, and other support units intended to strengthen the U.S. presence in the region. As tensions continue to grow, military planners now face difficult decisions about how to respond to an increasingly dangerous and unpredictable battlefield. The latest wave of attacks has also fueled growing concerns about the security of American forces stationed throughout the Middle East. Military officials acknowledge that U.S. troops remain under constant threat from missiles, drones, and other long-range weapons launched by Iranian forces and their regional allies. One of the most serious incidents occurred at a military installation in Jordan, where the attack reportedly caused far more casualties than initially announced. According to multiple U.S. officials, dozens of American personnel may have been injured during the strike, with many requiring immediate medical treatment. Another attack targeted a base near Erbil in northern Iraq. Officials say the incoming strike hit an ammunition storage area, triggering a series of powerful secondary explosions that caused extensive damage across the facility. Intelligence assessments also suggest that Iran has adjusted its battlefield tactics. Instead of relying solely on traditional ballistic missiles, newer attacks appear to include maneuverable warheads and increasingly sophisticated drone technology. These changes make interception significantly more difficult, placing additional pressure on U.S. air defense systems. Military analysts believe the strategy is designed to exploit weaknesses in existing defenses, while increasing the chances that at least some weapons reach their intended targets. The continuing attacks demonstrate that, despite months of military operations, Iran still possesses the ability to coordinate complex strikes across multiple countries. For commanders in the region, the challenge is becoming increasingly clear. American air defense systems must successfully intercept every incoming threat. Their opponents, however, need only a single missile or drone to break through. That reality is forcing the Pentagon to constantly reassess both its defensive posture and the resources required to protect thousands of U.S. personnel deployed throughout the Middle East. As violence continues to escalate, the conflict is entering an even more dangerous phase, with both sides adapting their tactics in an effort to gain the upper hand. As the conflict intensified, American forces faced a growing number of coordinated missile and drone attacks across the Middle East. Intelligence reports suggested that Iran had adjusted its tactics, using more advanced weapons capable of challenging existing U.S. air defense systems. Military officials warned that protecting American bases had become increasingly difficult because every incoming threat had to be intercepted successfully. The attacks were no longer isolated incidents. Several U.S. installations across the region were placed on heightened alert as commanders strengthened defensive positions and monitored for additional strikes. Despite months of military pressure, Iran continued demonstrating its ability to launch coordinated operations against American interests. To reinforce regional security, the Pentagon ordered additional military assets into the Middle East, including advanced fighter aircraft, aerial refueling tankers, and support units. The objective was to strengthen deterrence while ensuring American personnel remained protected as tensions continued to rise. At the same time, military planners faced a difficult reality. Every new attack increased both operational risks and political pressure, forcing Washington to reconsider how far it was willing to escalate the conflict. The growing number of casualties quickly became a major political issue in Washington. Members of Congress questioned both the financial cost of the conflict and the long-term strategy behind continued military operations. Supporters argued that additional funding was essential to protect American troops, while critics demanded greater transparency and a clearer explanation of the mission. Military analysts also highlighted another challenge. Modern warfare is becoming increasingly expensive. Although Iranian drones can often be produced at relatively low cost, intercepting them requires sophisticated defense systems and costly missiles. This imbalance places continuous pressure on U.S. military resources. Despite these challenges, commanders emphasized that protecting American service members remains the highest priority. The conflict has also demonstrated how rapidly modern battlefields can evolve, requiring constant adaptation from both sides. As fighting continues, the ultimate direction of the war remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that every new attack carries not only military consequences, but also significant political and human costs, making each decision increasingly important for the future of the conflict.